Hello, good people, and welcome back to Civics. In this particular unit, we're talking about the United States Constitution, and in this video in particular, and the following, we'll be speaking about the 5 constitutional compromises. So how in the world did we get here? Well, essentially what happened is at the end of the AOC's lifespan, okay, our first attempt at a government post kicking out the British monarchy with our American Revolution, we made a real loosey-goosey, real weak government, and we realized really quickly that was not going to fly for us, okay? So then we had the Constitutional Convention in 1787 in Philly, which was our previous capital. It moved back from Philly to New York to Philly again, to Boston, I think, at one point, and then eventually it was moved to Washington, D.C. But anywho, in order for us to create a new government, we were going to have to compromise. I say we as in the Founding Fathers, all right? Let me real quick just bop over to your note sheet and show you what that looks like so you're not like, what the heck am I supposed to do? So for this set of notes, come on, computer, you can do it. 4 compromises, all right, because you should have already made a copy of this particular note sheet and put it in your Avid folder / Civics folder. If you don't put it in the folder, I can't see it, and therefore I can't grade it. Okay? Okay. So here's the thing about these constitutional compromises. For every single one of them, they have their own box. You see how that looks? All right, I'm going to have the issue slide come up. I'm going to click through here, and then you have side 1. It's going to have a title and some bullets. Side 2 is going to have a title and some bullets, and then there's going to be a result with a title and some bullets, okay? So the gray box is where your issue goes. We're going to go, in our Prezi, we're going to go to the left, to the right, and then down here to the middle. So I'll just click through real quick and let you see what it looks like. Okay, so issue number 1 is going to go over here in the issue box. See, issue number 1. Bang. All right, and then to the left is going to be side 1. We write Virginia plan, put these bullets in the box. To the right, side 2, New Jersey plan, put the bullets in the box. Yada, yada, yada. Result. Okay, everybody on board? Hopefully so. Let's go back and let's talk about some of these issues. We're going to do the first 3 compromises in this video. All right, let's get into it. So here's the deal. We got 55 old, rich, landowning, pretty wealthy and elite and pretty good politicians in a room. Okay, and they are all going to have different opinions on how to set up this new government because they realize real quick this AOC is not going to fly, okay, because people are getting away with literal murder. That's not going to happen. So when they redo the government, there's 5 big issues we have to solve. The first one, and the most pressing one in their eyes, is how are people going to be represented? Their biggest issue with the British monarchy was that they were getting taxed left, right, and center from the crown, and nobody was speaking in the legislature on their behalf, okay? Now, if you remember from Unit 1, a legislature is, I hope you said a group of lawmakers because you'd be correct. A group of lawmakers over here, they need, I lost my whole train of thought. Gracious. They need to be represented, okay? Your group of lawmakers has got to be speaking on behalf of the people and making laws on behalf of the people. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to organize this? Because we didn't do this before, and now we've got to rebuild it, okay? So side 1 is the Virginia plan, all right? So this issue splits the 55 founding fathers into big states and small states. The states in the middle are like, we don't really care, just figure it out, okay? So bigger states are like, listen, here's the plan. We have 3 branches of government, all right? Legislative, executive, and judicial, all right? Now, they think because Virginia at that time had a whole lot of people in it, and it was one of the largest states in the Union, if not the largest state in the Union. I think Massachusetts might have been the actual largest. But anywho, they think that the legislative branch should be based on population. So if you have more people, you get more humans in the legislature. So for example, let's say that we said for every 100,000 people that your state has, you get a representative. And let's say Virginia has 900,000 people at the time. Then that means that they get 9 people to make laws on their behalf. But let's say on the flip side, little tiny Delaware has only 100,000 people. That means they only get 1 person to speak on their behalf. So Virginia, since they have 9 humans, is going to have the advantage here because majority rules, Okay, so small states are like, oh, no, 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 that's not how this works. We get that you have more people, but that does not mean that you can squash our voices. Okay, big states like Virginia, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and New York, all about this because they're like, yes, we get more power, let's do this. Okay, and the little states clap back and are like, no. So side 2 is the New Jersey plan. They're like, yes, we can get with this whole 3-branch deal. That's fine. Legislative, executive, and judicial. However, within the legislative branch is what these two sides are fighting about. Okay? They're all cool with the legislative branch. They're not cool with how one another wants to set it up. Okay? So they want a unicameral legislature. This should be review. I hope you remember what it is because we've got a question coming up. If you said it's one house of lawmakers, you'd be right. Give yourself a high five. All right. They want one set of people to make laws for them, and they want equal representation for all states. So regardless of how many humans you have in your state for population, everybody gets 2 votes. This means that little podunk Delaware with 100,000 people would be just as powerful as big old honkin' Virginia that has 900,000 people. And the big states were like, you have lost your mind. Little tiny Delaware should not have as much say as big old Virginia. That's not happening, okay? So neither of the 2 of them are going to get exactly what they want here. Now the compromise is we're just going to do both, okay? We end up calling this the Connecticut plan, and this man named Roger Sherman is like, listen, what if we just do both of them? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, it sounds great, Roger, let's do it, okay? So essentially that's what happens, okay? So they create a bicameral legislature. And if unicameral means one house, that means bicameral means 2 houses. So instead of just having one group of people to make laws for the entire nation, which at that point was just 13 states, all right, we're going to have 2 groups. We're going to have one squad that makes the big states happy and one squad that makes the small states happy. Done. In today's times, this means that big old honkin' California with, oh gosh, mental math, 38 million people, something like that. Let's Google it real quick. How many people live in California? Was it 53? Oof, I was 38 was my first instinct. I should have just gone with that. All right, so let's say we got 39 million people in California. They have 2 people in the Senate, and so does teeny little baby South Dakota, who has less than 700,000 people in it. They don't even have 1 million, okay? So that's that. All right, so we have a bicameral legislature. We have one house is based on population, and we call this the House of Representatives. And we have another house based on equal representation, and we call this the Senate. All right. I'm going to go ahead and right here beside the Senate over there in the left-hand side in your margin, let's put 2 per state beside this and the result thing, okay? 2 per state. In the House of Representatives, let's hop over here in the margin and say 1/800K, because you get 1 human for your state based on every 800,000 people that you have, okay? This means that big old giant California gets 53 humans and 53 different say-sos in our legislation, in all of our laws. North Carolina has enough to have 13 people in the House, okay? So we have enough people to have 13 say-sos in our government, all right? Little Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Montana, all 4 of them only have 1 person to speak on their behalf because they have such a small population, okay? However, everybody's equal in the Senate regardless of how big your state is. All right, so this is how it looks. And these set of numbers, these numbers aren't just random. This is what happens as a result of the census, okay? So every 10 years, we take a population count. We just basically take a head count, how many humans are in your household, yada, yada. And based on that, we figure out how many people are in your state. We divide that number by 800,000, and that's how many humans you get to speak on your behalf when we make laws, okay? So currently, California has been the largest state for quite some time now. It's got 53 humans in it. We got 13. Texas is the second largest with 36. Alaska has 1. All 4, Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota have 1 person. Tiny little Vermont has 1. New Hampshire's got 2. Maine has 2. Delaware has 1. You get the point, okay? So bigger states have more people. Smaller states have less, okay? So in this last census that we took in 2010, all of the blue states gained a seat in the House because they had more people in their state. The orange states lost some humans, and the gray states didn't change, Okay, there is a strong chance, though, that North Carolina might have enough people in it to beat out Georgia this next time and to get one more person in the House. We don't really know. We'll see when that info comes out. All right, let's hit issue number 2 real quick, okay? So should slaves count as population or taxable property? 3 of the largest issues that the Founding Fathers are going to have out of the 5 revolve around slavery. They're just not willing to actually talk about slavery as an institution because they're kind of cowardly, all right? Side 1 obviously is going to be split into southern states, and the side 2 is going to be northern states because this slavery issue is going to split them in half that way. We are not focusing on big and small states at this point. We're talking about small states. So let me go back to the map real fast. All right, so if we're talking about this, slave-owning states are like, oh yes, let's count slaves as population. Obviously not let them vote, but let's count them in our number so that we can, instead of 13, maybe get to 14 or 15 people in the House. Okay, if we have enough of a population. Oh, I should have gone the other way. Sorry. Beep, boop, bop. There we go. All right, so side 1 is southern states. I do not put this picture in here lightly. There is a reason that I have put this picture in here. Okay, so southern states say, we want slaves to count as population. Literally just the number. Not the humans, just the number, okay? To count as population in order to get more power in the House. If this is what you are willing to do to the human, okay, that you're trying to count as population, you don't want them to vote. You don't count them as a human. You are treating them as if they are property. 2 inches of scar tissue does not mean that they're going to be able to vote. Okay, so just because the southern states are like, yes, let's count them in population, that does not mean any black man is voting in the South. If this is what the southern states are willing to do to a black man, they're for sure not going to let them vote. Okay, side 2 is northern states, and they say, if you're going to treat them as property, we're going to tax them like the property. Okay, notice how neither side is saying to get rid of slavery. Fun facts. Okay, that's going to take them another 80 years to own up to that conversation. Okay, so they want slaves to count as taxable property, and they argue that since slaves can't vote, they should not be used to count as numbers in government. Okay, so that is the thing. We're going to do both things. Okay, so at this point, notice how slave states outnumber the free states 8-5, okay, when the Constitution gets signed. That'll change over time, though. All right, and typically the largest concentration of slaves are a little bit above us and a little bit below us, and then over here right around Wilmington. All right, the result here is the 3/5 compromise, probably one of the shadiest deals in all of American history, okay? 3 out of every 5 slaves count both towards numbers and representation in Congress and as taxable property. All right, so this is a win-win for both sides here, certainly not a win-win for the slaves, okay? All right, so that is the 3/5 compromise. All right, and this has been part 1.